All right, round one of the OGL playoffs is in the books. And wow, what a wild ride that was. Some serious upsets. I'm still trying to process it all.
Yeah, definitely some shockers. Feels like some teams just forgot how to play football once the postseason hit.
Totally. So we're going to break down all the action from round one, dive deep into the round two matchups, and of course, give you our predictions for who's moving on and who's, well, going home.
Plus, let's not forget what's at stake here. Big money on the line. $750 for the champion. And even bigger than that shiny new OGL championship trophy, the winning team gets to be the first name engraved on that bad boy.
That's right, eternal glory. Okay, let's rewind back to round one, starting with the Legacy Conference. And honestly, I still can't believe the Secular City Sinners lost to the San Francisco Ferries.
I know, right? You and everyone else, the Sinners were the heavy favorites. All in, high stakes, high roller kind of team. You figured they'd just roll through everyone.
Yeah, I thought Double Down Daniels and Jackpot Jacobs would be enough to carry them, especially with how explosive they've been all season.
Guess their luck ran out, huh? When you live on the edge like that, eventually you fall off.
True. And it didn't help that they were missing Kenneth Walker. Big bet. That put even more pressure on Daniels and Jacobs.
For sure. And let's be real, the rest of that high roller offense didn't exactly hit the jackpot either. Tyreek always hits Hill, only had, 2 catches for 36 yards?
Yeah, not exactly the big payout you'd expect from him. And Drake London, the high roller himself. He had a quiet game, too. Just 3 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown.
Meanwhile, the San Francisco Ferries, they just rode this wave of momentum straight into round two. James Conner was a beast, absolutely filled in for Christian McCaffrey beautifully.
Yeah, that backup engine was firing on all cylinders. Rushed for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns, and even added 28 receiving yards.
Don't forget about the Golden Gate, Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh, man. He was unbelievable.
Absolutely sliced through that Sinners defense. 193 receiving yards and a 66-yard touchdown.
Yeah, he was unstoppable. It's worth noting, though, that even with St. Brown's incredible performance, Joe Burrow still had a bit of a shaky game. Threw 3 touchdowns, sure, but he also threw 2 interceptions. And lost a fumble.
Well, even the best quarterbacks have their off days, right?
I guess so. But the Ferries, they weathered the storm and pulled off a huge upset. All right, let's head over to the Legends Conference, where we saw another surprising outcome. The Bennington Barnstormers took down the G-Town Baggy Soobs.
No way, seriously.
Yeah.
Who would have predicted that? I mean, the Soobs, they have this powerhouse roster. Everyone thought they'd just cruise to round 2.
I know, but the Barnstormers, they had other plans. Lamar Jackson, a.k.a. the Stuntman, he certainly lived up to his nickname.
I bet.
5 touchdowns, all through the air, though.
Whoa. No rushing touchdowns?
Nope, 290 passing yards, 65 rushing yards, but all 5 of his touchdowns were passing touchdowns.
Talk about spreading the wealth.
Right. His receivers were feasting. Mike Evans had 159 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. And CeeDee the Ace Lamb racked up 116 yards and a touchdown of his own.
Wow. And the Soobs just couldn't keep up with that.
Nope. It's tough when your star players have an off week. And that's exactly what happened to the Soobs. Saquon, the big Sue Barkley, he's been a fantasy monster all season. But he had a surprisingly quiet game.
How quiet?
Just 65 rushing yards.
That's rough.
And even Alvin Kamara, Victoria's Secret, he couldn't find his usual magic either.
So the Twins weren't so in sync this time around.
Not at all. And the motorboat, Sam Darnold, he just couldn't get the passing game going. Cooper, Double D Cup, was completely shut out.
Shut out, like 0 points.
0.
Wow.
Almost unheard of. The Barnstormers really threw a wrench in their plans. Though the Soobs did have one bright spot. Their tight end duo, Jonathan Smith and Sam Laporta, they combined for 159 receiving yards and a touchdown.
Okay, so not a total disaster, but still a disappointing end to their season, I'm sure.
Absolutely. It just goes to show anything can happen in the playoffs.
That's for sure. So, what about round 2? What are we looking at?
All right, buckle up, because things are about to get really interesting. First up, we've got the Vatican City Saints coming off a bye week. They're facing those giant-slaying San Francisco Ferries.
Interesting. So the Saints, they finished the season on an 8-game winning streak, right?
Yep. They're definitely the favorites here. They've got a holy mission, and they're not afraid to use it.
But will divine intervention be enough to stop the Ferries' momentum? I mean, they're coming off that huge upset, and they're definitely hungry for more.
Yeah, it could be a closer matchup than people think. The Saints do have some question marks, though.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, we still don't know if Isaiah Pacheco will be back to his pre-injury form, but they do have the prophet, Devon Achane, and Zach Charbonnet waiting in the wings. Plus, there's a whole quarterback situation.
Right. Will it be the Messiah, Patrick Mahomes, or the chosen one, Brock Purdy under center? And how much will they be leaning on the Crusader, Brock Bowers? He's been killing it this season.
He has. But if the Saints want to make it to the Super Bowl, their veteran wide receivers, Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen, they need to step up. They've been inconsistent all season. And the playoffs are not the time for disappearing acts.
Agreed. As for the Ferries, well, they'll be looking to keep that momentum rolling. James Conner is on fire, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is a consistent threat. But they'll need more than just those two if they want to pull off another upset.
For sure.
Joe Burrow needs to bounce back from that shaky performance in round one, and they'll be hoping George Kittle can regain his form.
Yeah, a healthy Kittle could be a game changer. It's going to be fascinating to see if the Saints' divine intervention can overcome the Ferries' tidal wave of momentum.
Definitely a matchup to watch. So, What about the other Legends Conference matchup?
Okay, get ready for this one. It's the Bennington Barnstormers versus the Monsters of the Midway.
Oh, wow. This one's going to be a clash of titans. The Barnstormers with their high-scoring offense going up against the Monsters who are, well, monstrously good.
Exactly. The Monsters finished the season with a 23-5 record and a 12-game winning streak. That's an intimidating opponent for any team, let alone one that relies so heavily on its offense.
You're telling me, so what are the Barnstormers' chances here? Can they actually pull off another upset?
Well, their success really hinges on the stuntman, Lamar Jackson. He'll need another spectacular performance to keep pace with the Monsters.
Yeah, he's going to need to be at his best.
And his receiving core. The ace, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, and young lad McConkey. They'll all need to be ready to light up the scoreboard.
I feel like I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
The Barnstormers really seem to live and die by their offense, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. But they do have a secret weapon, their running back committee.
Interesting.
They'll need to keep the Monsters' defense guessing. It'll be a tough task. But the Barnstormers have shown us they can score points in a hurry.
All right, so the Barnstormers have their work cut out for them. What about the Monsters? What makes them so monstrously good?
Well, their roster is absolutely stacked with talent. They've got Tua the Terror, Tagovailoa under center, and he's been playing out of his mind lately. And then there are the veteran running backs, the King, Derrick Henry, and the Lion, David Montgomery.
They're still going strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Still roaring, despite their age.
That's impressive. But they got to be slowing down a bit, right?
Well, the Monsters do have a couple of potential weaknesses.
Like what?
Tua's concussion history is always a concern. And their roster's on the older side, so fatigue could be a factor.
That's true. So this matchup really could go either way.
Absolutely.
It has all the makings of a classic. Will the Barnstormers be able to outscore the Monsters? Or will the Monsters' veteran experience and defensive prowess prove to be too much?
Only time will tell.
Can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
Me neither. We've got two incredibly intriguing matchups ahead of us in round two.
Okay, prediction time. Let's hear it. Which teams are punching their tickets to the conference championships? And whose dreams are getting crushed?
All right. The stakes are higher than ever. And these round two matchups, they're tough to call. But hey, that's what makes it fun, right?
Absolutely. So where do we start?
Let's kick things off with the Legacy Conference. The Vatican City Saints versus the San Francisco Ferries. Divine intervention versus destiny.
Ooh, I like that. So who you got?
You know, the Saints are a formidable opponent. 8-game winning streak, a stacked roster, home field advantage in the Holy City. But I'm going with my gut on this one. The Ferries have that underdog spirit, and they're riding a wave of momentum. I don't think it's going to stop here.
Whoa. You're calling another upset.
I am. Ferries advance.
Okay, I admire your faith in the underdog. But I'm putting my money on the Saints. They've got depth at every position. Even if Pacheco isn't 100%, they've got the profit ready to go. Plus, I think the Messiah is going to have something to say about this one. Saints all the way.
Okay. Let's move over to the Legends Conference. The Bennington Barnstormers going up against the Monsters of the Midway. This one's giving me anxiety just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a clash of styles for sure. The high-flying offense of the Barnstormers versus the veteran experience and sheer power of the Monsters. Talk about a nail-biter.
I know, right? On paper, the Monsters have the edge. They've been dominant all season. That 12-game winning streak is no joke.
Definitely not.
But the Barnstormers have that it factor. They're unpredictable, they're hungry, and they're led by the stuntman himself, Lamar Jackson. I'm sticking with my gut again. Barnstormers pull off the upset.
Hold on. 2 upsets in a row. You're really feeling those underdog vibes today, huh?
Maybe I am.
While I love the Barnstormers' energy, I just think the monsters are too strong. The Terror Tua has been playing like a man possessed. The King and the Lion are still roaring. And that defense is a force to be reckoned with. I gotta go with the monsters on this one.
Fair enough. Okay. So we've got differing opinions on the conference championships, which just makes things even more exciting.
For sure.
But the big question remains, who's going to the Super Bowl?
Well, according to my predictions, it's going to be a Saints-Monsters Super Bowl. Talk about a battle of epic proportions. The divine power of the Saints versus the monstrous strength of the Monsters. Who will claim victory? Who will hoist that coveted OGL championship trophy?
I like it. But based on my picks, we're looking at a Ferries Barnstormers Super Bowl. 2 teams that no one expected to make it this far, battling it out for the championship. Talk about a Cinderella story.
2 very different Super Bowl scenarios. It all comes down to which teams can execute their game plan, stay healthy, and avoid those costly mistakes. The pressure is on. Anything can happen. Exactly.
But no matter who wins, it's been an incredible OGL
Wow,
season,
for sure.
full of surprises and upsets.
Then some amazing individual performances.
It's been a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Well, Alexa, thanks for joining me on the deep dive today.
It was my pleasure.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll be back next week to break down the second round of the playoffs. This has been a presentation of the Omaha Gridiron League podcast.